Uh-oh, Tommy was exploring old caves outside the city when he got trapped in a mysterious dungeon. There were 3 ways out, but only one of them was safe. Behind the first door, a fire was raging. Behind the second door, there was acid rain, which could melt any substance within seconds. Behind the third door, there was a huge brown bear that hadn't eaten for 2 years. Which way should Tommy choose? Tommy should choose the third way. No animal can go for 2 years without food and survive. Barely. It was a stormy day, and it had been raining for several hours straight. A car accident happened in a tunnel. The yellow car crashed into the red one. The driver of the yellow car said it had been raining so heavily he hadn't seen anything, so the accident wasn't totally his fault. But the police asked the man to stop lying and claimed it was all his fault. Why? The accident happened in the tunnel. It couldn't be raining there. Mrs. McAdams, who was having a day off with her friends, came back home in the middle of the day to change her clothes. There, she found out that her daughter, Eveline, who she'd grounded, wasn't at home. Mrs. McAdams got angry and texted Eveline, asking where she was. Eveline texted her back, saying she was at school. The girl even attached a picture of the classroom. Mrs. McAdams didn't believe her daughter and told her to come home immediately. How did she understand Eveline wasn't at school? Look closely at her cell phone. It's Sunday. There's no school on Sundays. Ned works in a club. His job is to check people's ID cards and to not let suspicious people or people younger than 21 years old get inside. Take a look at these 3 ID cards and figure out who shouldn't enter the club. The first person is already 21, and nothing else looks suspicious in his ID. The second girl seems alright too. It's written that Brielle was born on September 31st. But such date doesn't exist. Her ID must be fake. Mrs. Cabell is the owner of a small company producing expensive designer cups. On Friday, when the working week was finally over, she got a call from her bank. The woman found out that someone had stolen all the money she had saved. Mrs. Cabell realized it must have been one of her workers, so she asked each of them what they had been doing that day. Sloan, a sales manager, said she had been talking to their clients and looking for new ones. Atticus, a potter, said he always made 1 cup a day, and he showed all the cups he had done that week. Sierra, a designer, said she had been working, but she also admitted she hadn't been really productive that day because of some family issues. Who lied? Atticus. There are 5 working days in a regular week. The man said he made 1 mug a day, but he only showed 4 mugs. It means he missed 1 day of work. Lennox and Finn were friends living in the same college dorm. One day, Lennox reported that something had happened to his friend. He said Finn hadn't left his room all day. He also never responded to any of Lennox's texts. In the evening, Lennox started to worry and knocked on Finn's door, but the guy didn't answer. Lennox peeked through the keyhole and saw that his friend was lying on the floor, so he called the police. After that, Lennox got arrested. Why? Lennox has a bandage on his right eye, but the keyhole is located in such a way that it's only possible to look inside with the right eye. It means the guy couldn't do it. He simply knew what had happened. Esme was having a walk in the forest and got lost. For about the 20th time. Hey, don't ask. Anyway, she found the witch's house, walked in, said hi, petted the cat, and asked the witch to show her the way home. But the witch had a problem. She was learning a new spell and accidentally did something strange to her chairs. On the bright side, she now had a riddle for Esme to solve. The witch had 20 chairs. Now, some of the chairs only had 2 legs, and half of the rest had no legs at all. How many legs did all these 20 chairs have in total? We know that some of the chairs have, on average, 2 legs per chair. The rest of them have either 4 legs or no legs at all. And since half of the rest have no legs and the other half have 4, together they have 2 legs per chair. So there are exactly 40 legs. Mr. Tucker was a businessman. He wanted to find an interesting hobby to impress people. He chose art, even though he knew nothing about it. Still, he kept buying paintings and even owned a couple of famous masterpieces. He liked to invite his potential business partners over to show off his collection. One day, his guest was Miss Geneva Darby, a young lady who owned a jewelry business. As always, Mr. Tucker boasted about his collection, but Miss Darby wasn't impressed. Why? Look closer at this supposedly 16th century painting. There are a couple of cars on the road, but there were no cars at that time, so the painting must be fake. Evie and Kai were planning to go on a bike tour with their friends. Unfortunately, Evie didn't feel well, so she canceled on her friends and asked Kai to stay with her. Kai was disappointed but agreed. Evie fell asleep. When she woke up, she already felt better. She offered Kai to ride their bikes a bit, just the two of them. But when they went outside, Evie realized that while she had been sleeping, Kai had been out with the friends without her. How did she understand it? Look, Evie's bike is all wet. It must have been raining while she was asleep. But Kai's bike is dry. It means that he used it and then wiped it off. Or maybe he wasn't even in the area when it was raining. 2 weeks ago, a bank was robbed, but the robber hadn't been found yet. A phone call woke Detective Callum up in the middle of the night. His colleague reported that a farmer had found the money. When the detective arrived, he questioned the farmer. The man said, "I argued with my wife and went outside. That's when I found a bag with money in a cornfield." Detective Callum asked if the farmer had noticed anything suspicious before. The farmer replied, "About 2 weeks ago, before going to bed, I looked out of the window. I saw a man walking through the field. It was a full moon and I could clearly see his silhouette. But there wasn't enough light to notice more details about him." The farmer was arrested. Why? The farmer said it had been a full moon 2 weeks before. But it's impossible. As you see, it's a full moon now. The farmer is lying. But why? Ashley was hurrying to an unplanned business meeting. She asked her boyfriend, Dean, to walk the dog. Dean agreed. But then his friend called and invited him to play a new video game. So the guy decided to skip walking the dog that day and joined his friends. He and Ashley met right outside the house when they both were going back home. Ashley asked what Dean had been doing. The guy said, "I walked the dog and then went to play video games with my friends." Ashley immediately understood he was lying. How did she figure it out? It's winter. Look at the footprints in the snow. There are Ashley's footprints going both ways and Dean's footprints going both ways too. But there are no dog footprints. Mrs. Rivers reported that someone had broken into her house. They stole all the money and jewelry she kept in her living room. Detective Callum arrived to investigate the crime. The room was a mess. It was obvious that someone had been looking for something there. But in the end, the detective concluded that there was no robbery. Mrs. Rivers made the whole thing up. Why did he decide so? Look at this very expensive and fragile tea set lying on the floor. If a criminal had really been there, he wouldn't have cared about the set. It would be smashed after falling down. It seems that when Mrs. Rivers was staging a robbery, she didn't feel like breaking her expensive tea set. Viviana and Malcolm were working outside. Malcolm was repairing the roof, and Viviana was working in the garden. Suddenly, a hammer fell from the roof and hit Viviana on the head. She was taken to a hospital, and the police came to figure out what had happened. When Malcolm told them everything, the police arrested him for staging an accident. Why didn't they believe the guy? Viviana was working right next to the house. She was sitting under the roof. If the hammer had fallen accidentally, it would have slid down the roof and fallen behind the woman's back. It could hit her only if someone threw it at her on purpose. Well, that's not nice. The helicopter has dropped you in the middle of a tropical jungle. You're to prove you can survive in the wild. The jungle is filled with all kinds of beasts. As you go, write down your answers. At the end, they'll help you find out if you have what it takes to survive for real. You're in a small glade before a dense jungle. You need to go through it to reach the first checkpoint. You only have a bottle of water, a box of matches, and a phone in a waterproof case. As soon as you take a step, a loud growl from behind makes you freeze. You see a big lion, and it's not happy to meet you. There's no point in running away. The lion is faster and also excellent at climbing trees. It's getting closer. What are you going to do? Raise your hands, scream, and throw a bottle of water at the lion to scare it. Open the bottle and pour water over the lion. Turn your back to it and not move. You've got 7 seconds. Never turn your back on a lion. The beast knows to be wary of humans, so start making noise and throw a bottle at it. This should help, but if the lion doesn't leave, then you should start slowly retreating. This time, the bottle helped you. The lion runs away, you take the bottle from the ground and go into the jungle. You make your way through the thicket and see 2 bear cubs. They growl so sweetly and seem to want to play with you. You think they're thirsty, so you open the bottle. What will you do next? Give them some water to drink. Take a photo with the cubs because they're so cute. Quickly escape from this place as fast as possible. Every second is important. You need to quickly run away from this place. If there are cubs here, then their mother is somewhere nearby. She will come at you if she sees you near her children. While running, you trip over a root and fall. It seems you managed to get away, but wait, something big is coming towards you from the right. You turn your head and see a huge grizzly bear. It growls and stands up on its hind legs. What to do now? Get up and quickly run away? Climb the nearest tree and wait for the bear to leave. Pretend to be unconscious and don't move. The bear is getting closer. Decide now. The beast seems clumsy but runs very fast and is excellent at climbing trees. In case of the grizzly, you need to lie down and freeze, proving that you don't mean any harm. The bear sniffs at you and seems to leave, but don't get up just yet. It can stay nearby and look at you to make sure you really are unconscious. After 10 minutes, you open your eyes and feel the bear is gone. Now, we'll ignore the fact that bears don't live in jungles and continue our adventure. You're making your way through the jungle again. You can see the river ahead, but before you reach it, you need to solve the problem with a pack of wolves. Wolves in a jungle, never mind. They're looking at you as their prey, slowly surrounding you. Your choice of actions? Don't let them surround you, press your back against a tree, then quickly climb it. Use matches to set fire to the grass. The fire will scare away the wolves. Scream and splash water in different directions. Wolves are afraid of fire, but now you don't have enough time to make it. Don't let them surround you. Any tall tree will save you. First, press your back against it, then quickly climb up before the wolves get to you. Night falls. You're sitting in a tree. The wolves are tired of waiting for you and leave. You go down, build a fire to warm up, and cook food. By the way, what will you have? Berries. You found ripe purple and red ones. They look delicious and seem juicy. Ants. You've stumbled upon a large anthill. Mushrooms. They don't look much like fly agaric, which means you can eat them. So, what's on the menu tonight? Surprisingly, ants are now the most edible thing for you. You can't eat berries and mushrooms if you don't know what they are. They may be poisonous. After a hearty dinner with your aunt, You wait for dawn and continue on your way. The jungle ends and you come out on a wide green clearing with a large lake nearby. You carefully tread through the open area and suddenly hear a rapid rumbling in the distance. You look around and see a wild boar. It's rushing right at you, snorting and roaring. What will you do? Run towards the boar shouting. It will confuse the animal. Lie down on the ground and pretend to be unconscious. Run back to the forest and climb a tree. Hurry up, you don't have much time. You need to climb the nearest tree. Wild boars will eat anything they can. So you climb a tree, but the boar is waiting for you on the ground. An hour passes, a second, a third. The boar doesn't even think to leave. Fortunately, a bear appears nearby. It scares the boar away and doesn't notice you. You wait until the animals are out of sight, then climb down the tree. You finally come to a lake. You need to swim across it. The good news, you're a good swimmer. The bad news is that there's a shark in this lake. Freshwater shark, huh? Hey, let's just go with it. You dive into the water and swim to the opposite bank. On the other side, there's a small pier with a moored old fishing boat. Where will you go? To the pier with a boat or to the sandy bank? Don't get closer to the fishing boat. It gives off the smell of fish that attracts the shark. Most likely, it lurks near the pier. You swim to the bank and see a fin next to the boat. It turns and starts quickly toward you. The shark has spotted you. What will you do? Try to swim to the shore as quickly as possible. Don't swim away, turn to the shark and move very slowly. Dive underwater and start waving your arms to scare the shark. Well, you need to stop. If you start swimming away, the shark will think you're its prey. Take a deep breath and try not to make unnecessary movements. The shark swims away and you calmly reach the shore. It's only a short distance to your destination now. There's a swamp on your way. You walk around it, then notice some green mud slowly moving towards you. It's an alligator. It comes out of the swamp and wants you to become its lunch. What will you do? Quickly run away? Lie on the ground face down and don't move? Jump on the alligator's back to scare it. Well, alligators are fast animals, but they're only good on short distances. So don't hesitate and immediately run away. The alligator won't even try to catch up if you're far away. Ahead, you can see a flag stuck in the ground. This is your destination point. You happily run towards it and hear a hiss. You stop and stare at the grass. Within it, you notice a small snake. It seems venomous, but you don't want to check it. What will you do? Find a long stick and point it at the snake so it lashes out of the stick instead of you? Move to a safe distance and get around the snake. Hiss loudly in response to scare the snake away. The simplest answer is the most correct. The snake won't jump if you retreat. You step aside and run back to the flag. Finally, you have completed your mission and survived. In the sky, you see a helicopter flying by. It seems they don't see you. It almost flies away, and you need to do something to make the pilot notice you. You have matches, water, and your phone. What are your actions? You don't have time to build a fire, you need to use the phone screen. Catch a ray of sunlight and point it towards the helicopter. Yeah, you've been spotted! The helicopter picks you up and you check your points during the flight. 0 to 2 points, you're nothing but prey for wild animals. But after this video, your chances of survival increase. 3 to 7 points, not every animal will dare to come at you, but you still need to be careful. 8 to 11 points. You have proven that the human stands at the top of the food chain. Just be extra careful around those jungle grizzly bears.